Gear up, because this is the Fuel Your Marketing podcast, designed to accelerate sales and grow your business. Let's welcome your host, Arti Sharma.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Fuel Your Marketing podcast. I'm Arti, and today is a bit gloomy here in Toronto, but those of you who are listening in, I wish you have a gorgeous day. And if not, then I promise you, after listening to this episode, you will be feeling elated. You'll be on top of the world. You'll have more clarity because today I have two special guests who are going to join us. This episode is going to be about the future of social media. What's in store 2020? And my two guests are amazing, powerful women. And before I go and introduce you to them, I want to quickly take a note. Please be aware that social media is not new, but it is ever changing. It's evolving so fast at the speed of light. I think it'll be an understatement to say if it's changing at the speed of light, because it's really at a blink of a second, things are changing. Now with so many different algorithmic changes, social media war, I would say, is happening. And today we're going to be talking to these phenomenal, powerful women who have been instrumental in shaping a lot of other small businesses reach their market, their audience through content, through social media. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Kelly Farell, who's the director of Teach Me Social and also the co-founder and director of Oak Learners, a non-for-profit alternative school and learning center in Toronto. Kelly, she's a certified teacher, and it is my extreme pleasure to welcome her on the show. Kelly, welcome, and I'm so thrilled to have you on the show here.
Thank you so much, Arti. I'm so honored to be part of the show and to share some ideas and some tips with everyone who's listening.
Awesome. Thank you. And you know what, Kelly, maybe this is a surprise for you, but we have another guest on the show, and you know her. She's maybe a surprise for you, but she's definitely somebody you know very well, Leigh Fowler. She's joining us today on the show as well. And you know what, for our audience who don't know Leigh, although I'm sure when you search her name, she's the only one who comes up with her name, Leigh Fowler, which is an amazing name, Leigh. But I want to give our audience an introduction as to, you know, your premise has been always to create good online content marketing and community engagement strategies for small and mid-sized businesses as well as corporations. And you really are focused on helping experts amplify their tribe, their visibility, create more impact. 20 years of marketing and publishing experience, and now 6th year as a full-time entrepreneur. I want to welcome you, Leigh. Welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you.
Thanks, Arti, and hi, Kelly. I'm so excited to be here. I kind of geek out when it comes to talking about the trends and the content strategies, because it is about finding that clarity you mentioned and getting clear on, you know, what you're doing out there in such a noisy world.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you rightly said it's become noisy. There's a lot of commotion, I feel. But being the marketers we are, I think that's where we are here to bring more clarity to that marketplace where there's a lot of commotion, a lot of noise, a lot of talk that's happening as to what should people do. And there is no one size or one plan that fits everybody, right? So today, my goal is to bring to our listeners more compelling ways to rethink their social media strategy, their content strategy, be better prepared for what's coming up in the future. How do you feel about that, ladies?
I like it.
I think that's great. And I think what Leigh said about sort of geeking out over this, I think that this is what we live and breathe, and we love to talk about it. And so to be able to talk with each other about this is a super special treat, because everything's changing. Like you said, there's so many different ways to do it. And we each have the different sort of niches that we work in. So I'm excited. Let's do this.
Me too. I mean, so everybody who's listening in, you're in for a treat. So my first question, I want to kind of moderate this panel or this virtual session, would be to to Kelly yourself in regards to, you've kind of created two businesses. You started with you were a full-time teacher, then you transitioned into, because teaching is your passion, and social media comes naturally to you. You created a company a few years ago, Teach Me Social, and you started doing workshops, trainings. You still do those for corporations and entrepreneurs. Tell me, where do you see? I mean, it's been so many years. I mean, I don't want to go into the depth of the years that we've been at the helm of this industry, but how have you seen the evolution happen? And, where was video, let's say, where is it now? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, you know what? It's been really interesting. I mean, saying that I've been in it for years makes me sound really old. Thanks, Artie. But
No, that was
it's
in the
been
mix.
a good 6 or 7 years that I've been really working with entrepreneurs and small businesses on this. And it's changed so dramatically, because definitely when I started, it was the kind of thing that businesses could choose whether or not they wanted to participate. And now it's not an option. You have to be online. Your business has to be available on social media. It's not something that you can decide you're just going to ignore. And that's certainly the biggest change, is that instead of people coming to me and saying, hey, this is kind of neat, how do I get in on this new trend? Now people are saying whoa, I missed the boat. Help me catch up.
Or are they maybe saying, well, I am on the social media, I don't know what the hell am I doing there?
Absolutely. People tell me I have to do this for my business, and I know I have to, but how on earth do I get in there?
So Leigh, this is a good segue into what you're passionate about, which is content strategies. Do you find that entrepreneurs struggle with building the content, and that kind of becomes overwhelming for them, and that's when they go into a silo to not do anything with it?
I think the top challenge for a lot of entrepreneurs and even small businesses is that they're told they need to be on social media, but they don't necessarily know how to know what's working or how to measure their efforts. So a lot of the time it is like throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what happens. But a strategy that starts A, with goals, and B, with a calendar and sort of a plan where you can measure those goals, and we call those metrics, which in the online world, the metrics are at your fingertips. It's such a really great way to track things. So I think the first thing where small businesses have to start is, why are we marketing online? Why should we be on social? And if we do get onto social, how are we going to track our efforts and know that it's working?
It's such a great point. I mean, as you know, my company is Measure Marketing Results. We're really data driven, and I totally agree. We've worked with so many entrepreneurs over the last decade, and the bigger challenge, as you both pointed out, is, first of all, there's a lot of, I would say, peer pressure, if you will, to be on the social media, because one of my other entrepreneur friend is on social media. I have to be there. You don't have to be there if it's not part of your social media mix. But you know what? As Kelly pointed out, you can't avoid it also, because the generations are changing. And to your point, Leigh, it is so important to be able to, be mindful of what metrics are you monitoring and what is working for you, essentially, because you can't be just doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, right? So that's a great, I think, transition you both highlighted. To that point, I know that we have come through an era, and Kelly, trust me, I don't want to go into the years of business that I've been at it, because that's going to really showcase my age, which I don't want to go into. But with the transition that's happening, as I mentioned, blink of an eye, something new is popping up. Blink of an eye, a new app is coming up. I mean, there was a point when videos were corporately done, and videos were only done through corporate channels and corporate videographers or corporate companies, video production companies. And it was a big thing and very expensive to get your video message out. But the power of, smartphones has completely changed the game and the landscape for video marketing. Where do you both see, and I mean, whoever wants to go first, I'm not going to point it out because I know this is a subject that we all are passionate about. So maybe Leigh, if you want to talk about, where is video and social? What do you think of video marketing?
I think it's a good question. As being in the marketing and publishing industry for almost 20 years, there's a few things that I've seen consistently showing up over the years. And one of those things is not just video marketing, but the presence of in-platform apps that allow you to do video. So Instagram has a video app and Facebook has a video app. So all the social media platforms are making it very easy to share video on social media. The second thing I've seen too, and we'll talk about it later, is really about community. You see membership sites, you see forum boards back in the early 2000s, it's all about community, right? So we're going to see probably a theme come through in what we're talking about today. But what I like about video is that it does have the power to create a faster connection with your audience because it is more engaging. There's more senses involved. You hear, you listen, you see. Pardon me, hear and listen are the same things, but you see and you can participate as well. So I think that's a big feature. I also think so we have each platform having an organic app inside of it. You have more engagement, and then I think a lot of the time you're finding people are watching more video than they are interacting with images or posts, like text-based posts. So if you look at the stats on different platforms, you're going to see a lot more reach with your video marketing.
Oh, totally. And Kelly, I know that you are heavily involved in some video marketing trainings as well. And this is such a great point that you talked about, Leigh, about in-app functionality. There is a social media war. I mean, I remember when Facebook launched live video, Twitter, Instagram were not there yet, right? And they had to quickly ramp up. And of course, Instagram was purchased by Facebook. So it was a kind of an easy implementation, I guess, for them. But LinkedIn has a video functionality. I'm not sure if it's buggy or not, but it's there, right? And it works. I just posted the video today in my first live video on LinkedIn. And the fact remains that there's a social media war that's happening as to who rolls out the functionality faster and better. And each social channel has the pressure to be the go-to channel for business owners to create that engagement. To your point, Leigh, it's a great point that you raised. So shifting gears here a little bit on the future of video, where do you see video is going, Kelly, in terms of 2 years down the road? Let's fast forward 24 more months ahead of us now. Where do you see video will be?
Well, I think it's really interesting that we've seen live video take off so quickly. I think it's less than 2 years now since live video first became a thing. And sites had the bandwidth to be able to carry live video. And now, like you said, we're seeing these wars and these competitions for who can do more with it and make it different. And I think this is coming out of people's need to be able to control their environment. And with live video, you have complete control over the message and really over the audience of who you're sending that out to, because you're sending it out to your followers specifically, as opposed to putting it out there and wondering who's ever going to see it. And so I think that if we're seeing this move towards interactivity and complete control over the message that's being put out without any interface of, it has to go through an image and then it has to get posted. I mean, right now to go live, it's the click of a button. I think that's where we're going to see things go more and more, is that there's going to be more control, more interactivity in videos. We've seen live video now. You can share with multiple people. You can invite people to participate with you in your live video, do interviews that way. People can comment. And so really it's then about what Leigh was saying is like about community. And this is what people want through the internet, is really to connect with as many people as possible, as easily as possible.
Yeah, and I think I totally agree that, as human beings, we have evolved. We have evolved to read faces or the tonality of our voice or the body language, right? And this rich kind of multimedia options that are available in our social interactions for as a company, as a business, or even as individuals, that really allows us to, to create that personalization to a large degree. And text is very limited. I mean, people can misinterpret an email or a tweet sometimes, right? So So videos have come in, I think, from that standpoint to create that personalized community as well. And to both of your points, people engage more on videos, and it's very natural because it's very human to human interaction that's happening. And I think
Exactly.
video is really, really important for storytelling also, right? And that's a big piece that I'm finding that's evolving. I mean, there was a way when we used to advertise through flyers and traditional marketing and whatnot, but today's social media seems to me. As a marketer, as a business owner, where I'm seeing shift happening is a very traditional way of marketing. There's a lot more that's happening behind the scenes. What social media is going to evolve into. I mean, let's not talk about the robots who are going to be, doing videos on our behalf. But at the same time, there are apps now that you could possibly take your video and change the whole look and feel of your video as well, right? And tell that story in such a compelling manner. So communicating in a very quick, short, personalized manner. That's where I see video is going to be very impactful. Now, do you see that video is going to play a really important role, Lily, in terms of advertising also, in terms of paid advertising, or in terms of, using it in any kind of other pieces of content? What are your thoughts of where video is headed in that direction?
Yeah, I think you're going to be seeing a lot more video ads that are sent into your inbox, like your
Mm-hmm.
direct messenger inbox. I think that people are trying to take a more personal approach to all areas of their marketing via social media. And there's manual approaches and automated, that you were mentioning before, about with the bots and different things. But with video in particular, I've in the past have used video to send personal messages to my clients or prospects and
Mm-hmm.
reach out to them with a personal message. I see video advertising being so powerful because, especially, for Kelly and I and yourself, we love to teach, we love to share our expertise and give value through our marketing. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's one of the best ways to connect with your audience, is to share value, give value. And so you can do that really well with video trainings and infomercials through video, social media now
Mm-hmm.
with, you can upload a whole 1 hour presentation and that can be an ad.
Yeah, and you know what? It's very cost effective for a small business owner. There is no need to, like, it's more of a guerrilla marketing today, right? But I want to go back to your point on, using video for sales meetings and sales closing as well. I remember back in the day, I used to work for this corporate where, there was a concept of video email. You remember those
Mm.
days where there was an app that you could use a video, like you could actually record a video on your computer, and that software will send an email. You could type in comment and then like an Outlook for video, right? And it
Mhm.
was what 9, 10 years ago that we were using it for sales meetings and sales closing, or some sort of appointment bookings as well. And that was creating personalization. To your point, Lily, I think this comment got me thinking back in the day how video was being used, but it still
Yeah.
holds true. I mean, you can send emails, long text emails, but they don't get read. But the moment you add personalization to the bots, to the messenger ads, or even messenger video messages, right, you automatically see a whole lot of engagement that starts to happen, or especially for events that I've seen.
Yeah.
It has a big uptake now. So I'm going to wrap up on the video side, but what is that big trend from each of you that you think will drive the next few years of more like tech and creative video marketing? So, Kelly, what's your number one trend that you see
Yeah,
that small businesses should look out for?
I think, moving towards short snippet videos, and I think people have to get comfortable with using video that's not polished,
Hmm.
and doing short snippets to share what's new in their business or what's coming along, because it's so much easier to get a message out in a short snippet, and it's so much easier for the consumer to take in that message and receive it when it's got the video attached to it.
Okay, great point. Thank you for sharing that, Kelly. How about you, Lily? Is there a trend that you think people should be watching out for, like CMOs and marketers should be watching out for?
Yeah, I think it's about trying to take something that's old-fashioned, like video strategies and community building online, and giving it a more personal approach. So with all this technology, all the apps that are coming in, I think the thing that's going to keep people above the crowd, above the clouds, what is it, above the rest, is actually figuring out how to make your marketing a bit more personal. So whether that's doing some direct messaging or building community around your brand and making people feel more included. I think the more technology we have, the less or the more isolated we feel as business owners, as individuals. And so if you can help people connect to a bigger community, a bigger message with your marketing, I think that that's going to kind of help you rise above the crowd. I think that was the expression I was trying to rise above the
rise
crowd.
up, yeah, rise up and beat your competition
Rise up, yeah.
is what I say in a more aggressive manner.
Right.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, I think it's about finding a more personal approach, using the technology and the apps as they are definitely more easy to access, but still applying that personal touch to your marketing.
So short snippets, personalization, and being authentic is what I heard. At the same time, building a community while bridging the gap between technology and personalization, right?
Love it.
So
Love it.
Absolutely.
yeah. So I would add to the mix one more, I think, trend that people need to be watch out from social media to search as well. Videos are great when it comes to search engine optimization as well, and it still so holds true. And I think more and more, giving definition to your titles, to the content, using more, I would say, banners within your videos that are readable for technical bots, if you will, Google bots or Bing bots or Yahoo bots or whoever, whatever the search engine's coming up, maybe Facebook bots also, is going to be amazing, because that actually drives a little bit more domination on the search engines, because the videos still tend to rank higher up when it comes to content ranking on search engines. So I think that's another key area for smaller businesses to start looking at and start to carve out some additional time and resources and budgets towards your video marketing and go live. I mean, stay authentic. Who cares? As long as your message is crisp, you're creating an impact, you're creating a community, you're positively impacting and building your community and engaging them and leaving them with valuable, relevant content. I think that's what the premise of video marketing should be. But there's one thing that because of the authenticity that we're talking about, there is a whole lot of talk in the social sphere, and I was talking to both of you individually about it as well, in terms of the privacy aspect of it. There's so much talk around what Facebook is giving away my data, my information, my behaviors, my patterns. So is Google. I mean, nobody talks about what we do on the internet, right? On the Google side of things. But at the end of the day, where do you see, Kelly, how do you feel about the social media privacy of it, especially now that you deal with a lot of children as well at Oak Learners, and then you have entrepreneurs on Teach Me Social side of things? What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. And, I've dealt with this issue with parents for years, even before I started Teach Me Social. Privacy online has always been an issue, and it's always going to be an issue. And I think we all need to start with the premise that there is no such thing as privacy online. So you can set, you can set your privacy parameters and try to take precautions, but somebody somewhere at the other end of a server is going to be able to access that information. And so it comes down to teaching our children, but also teaching ourselves to be cognizant of what we put out there. We have to be aware that any information we put online, even if it's in a private message, is going to be collected by servers, and it's going to be out there. So, I always tell my students and parents I talk to, and anytime I do a talk or a presentation for Teach Me Social to business owners is, start with the premise there's no such thing as privacy. Now, what do you want out there in the world about you? And go from there.
Good points. And how about you, Leigh? What are your thoughts on the privacy side of things?
Arti, I think you could probably do a whole episode on privacy for sure, especially based on what Kelly's talking about as a parent myself. Like it is an ongoing struggle. I think as a marketer, I love the fact that I can go into Facebook and target my ads right down to somebody who is pregnant, expecting divorce, shops and reads certain magazines, and lives in a certain postcode. I mean, I can drill down to pretty crazy effects when it comes to advertising on Facebook. So from the privacy point of view, I absolutely agree. I think that's a great point of view, Kelly, is that there is no such thing as privacy. From the marketing point of view, it's pretty incredible how you can target and personalize your advertising to show up to the right people. But yeah,
absolutely. And I have to say, I'm going to cut in there for a second and let you continue, but people ask me if that actually works and how credible that data is when you pay for your advertising. And it is extremely valid, because Facebook knows exactly who people are based on the conversations that they're having. And so as a marketer, it is extremely powerful. And I've built my school using Facebook ads. Because I can target parents that live within a certain radius of my school, and that's been so effective. And so we have to look at it from both sides.
You know what? Yeah, it's so funny that you talk. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay. Oh yeah, I was just going to add too, like you can also retarget your audience. So people that visit your website, you can have an ad show up on Facebook later that day to that same visitor. So it's it's not just your social media use, but it's all of your use online and on your devices and what you're watching on YouTube and
even your connections, right? Because at the end of the day, how you're engaging with your other connections and other people's content, I think, is also being watched and monitored. I mean, I was reading a study recently that social media advertising, which is of course dominated by Facebook, will definitely overtake the traditional TV advertising by 2020. And this is an eMarketer report. And at the end of the day, more money will be spent on advertising on social media networks than on the entire TV ad market. I mean, can you imagine within 2 years, there'll be people spending more money on paid social media advertising rather than on TV advertising?
Absolutely,
I mean, that's the world that we live in, right?
Absolutely. I don't know very many of my friends that still have cable. I don't. So, I don't see traditional commercials anymore.
Right.
But I certainly see ads on Facebook every day.
Yeah. I mean, in 2010, a peak audience of almost 19 million viewers turned in to watch the X Factor, biggest show on British TV, right? The Matt Cardle win, right? And today, if you look at that data, it has multiplied many folds. I don't even know what the number will look like, but there's definitely the impact that social media ad spend is going to have on the commercial. Traditional TV advertising is going to be huge, and we got to watch out as to how we're spending our marketing budgets. I mean, this is a challenge for chief marketing officers. I'm constantly meeting CMOs, CEOs, and what keeps them really up at night is, where do I invest? How much do I invest? And what is the metric that I will get at the end of it? And how do I use that metric to create my next campaign, right? So it's a kind of it's a field where we all, as marketers, have a challenge as well. Not just the business owners, but as marketers, we also have a challenge unless we understand our target audience, the goals, the market, the industry of that particular client. It becomes very hard to guide them in the right direction unless we take a data-driven approach. So that's great, guys. I mean, I'm glad that we're talking about this, because not many ideas pop out. There's a lot of actionable advice that we all give to our clients. So in my experience, and I'm sure you ladies can also attest to it, is start small, but start venturing, start testing a few different marketing strategies, which are more progressive than just the traditional, normal social media strategies that everybody else is doing, unless you are.
Arti, yeah. Oh, no, I absolutely agree. I think that, you talk about metrics, and over the years, I think the top 5 reasons that I've seen corporate business, individuals, small business, you name it, the top 5 reasons repeatedly have been to build awareness and visibility, to do research on existing products and get feedback on upcoming products, to build anticipation. So all that research piece. Marketing can be a research tool to see how people react. Sales obviously might be number 1, community building and connection, and lead gen, sales.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
And qualified lead generation is where I think Lily, you were pointing to, was because you talked a lot about personalization and targeted approaches, and so did Kelly. And then you mentioned how paid advertising is going to take on. I mean, you can become so targeted because of the data that now is available to Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn because of the user activity that it's a win for all of us from a privacy standpoint to kind of being able to leverage the data to save a lot of money on our marketing spend also, right? And be still not be able to create more noise, but become very targeted, right? So that's amazing.
Absolutely.
So I know that Kelly, you train a lot of clients on the organic social media postings and creating content, and so do you, Lily. You have we can always learn about your strategies at leighlfowler.com /67 ways. I know that you have a great resource there, and we'll post this in the show notes as well, along with your Facebook Confident Content Creators Club. How many entrepreneurs do you have in there now, Lily?
It's almost just at the tipping point. We're almost at 500 driven entrepreneurs sharing content tips and trends, insights, and just celebrating that journey of being a business owner and navigating the path.
Very nice. So our listeners can definitely tune in there. And Kelly, I know that you train a lot of, female entrepreneurs and progressive women entrepreneurs, but at the same time, you also have a Facebook group, which is called the Teach Me Social VIP Lounge. And people can definitely sign up there if they want to learn more about your strategies and your take on social media. But I have a few more questions before we kind of, wrap this session up. One of the biggest questions that I get asked is, where do I invest my time? Organic or paid? What is the future of organic social media, Kelly? What are your inputs? What are you seeing the shifts? I want to hear all about it.
Oh, yeah. So in the past year, for sure, the majority of my training has been on paid advertising. It's certainly like organic reach for most businesses have gone down to, maybe 1%, 2% of the total number of people that like their page. And it's very frustrating because a lot of people are putting time and effort into content and not getting anywhere. And so absolutely, it's become a pay to play space because there is so much content out there from so many people because of the significant growth of all the social media networks over the past few years, that there's no way that anybody can consume that amount of information. And so, different information has to take priority. And these days it is the paid content that is taking priority over even, just better quality content. And so I think that will even out over time. And we're going to see that even if you pay, it's not going to be good enough if your quality isn't there. And so I think we still need to maintain the quality of our content, but also focus on paid advertising as an integral part of the strategy. And it has to be done strategically, and it has to be done with an understanding of the targeting, and like we were talking about in terms of the demographics and understanding how to target your audience properly, but then also knowing how to read the metrics and change it up and know what's working and what's not working. And so you really have to have a core, a core understanding of what's happening at the other end of it.
Right. And Lily,
so I definitely.
Thank you for sharing that, Kelly. And Lily, I know you also feel, similar sentiments, but you also have a great sentiment around the organic reach. So share with us, where do you see the future for organic social media is headed, and where is the room for paid advertising in your mind?
You know what? I think I agree with Kelly in sort of you pay to play, but at the same time, what I've noticed is that over the years, you don't own your social media communities. You don't own your followers. And so I always like to look at how can I combine different organic strategies with my paid strategies, sort of like a combined effort. For example, generating email lists. An email list is your asset moving forward. It always has been. You own your email list. And if you can post something on social media and then drive your list to it and vice versa, do some cross promotion, I think a combined approach and not your traditional paid advertising. So maybe just, for example, on the paid side, I would suggest for a lot of people is just drive the visibility and awareness and start building that relationship. It's not always going to be about lead gen. I think what's really interesting is you can drive paid advertising without collecting emails, but there's so many different ways. I think a combined strategy is the way to go.
Right. And, and I agree with both of you, but in my experience working with business owners is also somewhat like yours, Leigh, in terms of integrating various channels together. And you rightly said, money is in the list. Money is what in the list, and the list is what you own. And nurturing that list is also possible when you combine that list. You take that list and then run remarketing ads, let's say, or you create a lookalike audience, or you create your custom audience, or kind of, do a reverse lookup on what worked, what did not work. So there's a whole lot of advanced strategies that come into play. But I think, to Kelly's point, the premise is to create that amazing piece of content that people are waiting on the edge to either engage with, share with, and if they like it. So some of those audiences, in my experience, and we could be wrong, but majority of the times, when our clients start investing in social media, we tell them outright, not everybody on social media who likes your page or who's engaging with you will buy from you. But what they might do is they might do three different things. They may either buy, they may either become your ambassadors of your brand, or the third could be they would give you visibility or data that you could use in tapping into their networks. So there was three different personas specifically for social media that are coming to surface for us as we delve more deeply into the organic and the paid side of social media and try to integrate these channels with paid advertising on social media remarketing, as well as video strategies, email nurturing strategies, and then collect this data to create the next piece of content, which is the lead magnet, Leigh, that you were talking about, to kind of integrate the both or maybe four different channels together to create that impact, create that visibility. Because at the end of the day, there's so much noise. How do you cut through that noise, become more targeted? So to both of your points, I think there's place for both. It has to be done in a very strategic manner. And again, I think what came out of this session today was personalization, data-driven approaches, thinking forward, being more authentic, at the same time bridging the gap between technology, personalization, and great content, which will always be there. But the last question I have from both of you, and I would have Leigh, you go first, which is Facebook overrated? Where is it headed?
It's so funny. I think Facebook is doing so many things to stay ahead of the crowd. And I think a lot of people don't know this, but they also own Instagram. So they're definitely taking a big piece of the pie when it comes to social media. Is it overrated? You know what? A lot of my clients feel like they have to be everywhere, and it comes back down to strategy and thinking about which platform is going to best serve your message and meet your goals and help you meet your goals faster. I always hear, well, my client is never on Facebook, and I would say that 99% of your clients out there are on Facebook. It's just the way that the stats are falling. Is it overrated? I think if you want to get ahead of the crowd, I think explore other platforms and try and find your voice there too, because right now it is maybe oversaturated with the noise. And if you can hop on another platform and amplify there, I think that might be an interesting strategy. But again, I've had clients that just focus on one platform and do it really well. I know when I focused just on my Facebook group, I brought in about 80 to 90% of my business just from the interactions in that one group. So if you do one thing really well, that's also really great. So I think, is it overrated? I mean, I enjoy Facebook. I love it. I enjoy the relationships I connect with on Facebook. So I don't think it's overrated. I kind of like it.
Very nice. I will add to it, but I want to hear what Kelly has to say in terms of the overrated approach to Facebook.
You know what? I think people have always sort of accused me of being like a Facebook cheerleader. Honestly, I don't think it's overrated because I think it's constantly evolving and changing with the needs and the demands of its audience.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, in the last couple of weeks, we've seen a lot of scandal with Facebook. And, is Facebook going to respond to accusations of fake news, and what's going to happen? And what did Mark Zuckerberg do now? But I think, the way that Facebook is constantly changing and adjusting and really trying to figure out what can they do next to keep people on their platform, that's what's going to keep them going. And I think we can't underestimate the power of Facebook because they have, billions of users now all over the world. And it's not just the Facebook platform now, but it's Instagram, like Leigh mentioned, and it's WhatsApp, which, has also, millions of users. I don't know if they've hit the 1 billion mark yet, but millions of users, again, all over the world. Facebook Messenger is becoming an app that almost everybody is going to have on their phone. And so, it's cross-platform, and it's a really big company that's really got their hands in a lot of different pots. And so we can't underestimate them. And no, I don't think it's overrated. I think it's important to realize that they're going to be around for a while, and maybe it's going to change. Maybe it's not going to look the way it looks now, but you got to get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, as humans, we are evolving, as I said, but I think I totally agree. Facebook is not overrated. In fact, to Kelly's point, I really love the fact that they're adjusting so fast. They're changing. They're actually leading the path for other social media channels, I find, on a lot of different things, In fact, I find them very progressive, very, very, their product has evolved so much. And to your point, both, I think the data the Facebook has acquired, the kind of intelligence that Facebook has today, it is mind blowing. I mean, imagine what can we do with that data to advance our businesses, to be able to create more in-app purchases, to be able to, I would say, get more momentum for our business if we do it right, if we do it the way people don't feel attacked, people don't feel marketed to, or is it not salesy, but instead it is very organic yet technologically integrated. So I think it all boils down to the strategy aspect of it, understanding your buyers very well, and then taking that deeper integration with the apps that the inbuilt apps that Facebook provides, right? I mean, for our listeners, Facebook is not paying us to vouch for them, but this is based on our experiences that we're finding that Facebook is definitely leading the pack here with very predictive, results driven, and I think individualized kind of marketing as well. So I think that's what I like about Facebook. I mean, the human to human aspect of it, right? And that's what makes this overall social media world so compelling and so intriguing for me to keep learning and keep seeing where it's evolving. I mean, for those of you who are chief marketing officers or in a marketing capacity at a corporate house, and you want to learn more about how can your marketing be more driven, either talk to us. My company is Measure Marketing. Leigh is Rise Media Design, and Teach Me Social is definitely there. So those of you who are looking to rely less on, more on customer acquisition and more on ROI for that customer acquisition, then I highly recommend that you take a more data-driven approach to your marketing. And with that, I would like to remind our listeners that they can join two different Facebook groups here. Leigh Fowler has a Facebook group which is called the Confident Content Creator Club. Almost 500 entrepreneurs who connect online on a regular basis for content trends, tips, insights, feedback, any kind of questions, training. And Leigh, I have to say that I'm part of that group. I enjoy it very much. You're doing a tremendous job. So thank you for having us all in there. And at the same time, Kelly has a group which is called Teach Me Social VIP Lounge. I kind of feel left out here, that I don't have a Facebook group that I can route my audience to. but these are two powerful women who have been there, done it, and now impact other business owners. So thank you very, very much, ladies, for joining us today. It was really helpful for me to learn your perspective and revalidate what we've been doing in our company as well.
Thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Arti.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Well,
such a pleasure, and I'm so happy to help.
Perfect. We're looking forward to the next session. So I think what we've said today is a great overview, but I'm sure there'll be more episodes we'll have to bring you in to take a more deeper dive on these subjects. So just to wrap up, continue to look at what's coming up on a video, stay authentic, be more personalized, keep testing different channels. To Leigh's point, take one channel, do it really well, create compelling content, measure the metrics, and Kelly talk about you need to pay to play. Yes, you do need to pay to play today in social media advertising world, but do it small. Maybe start with a $5 budget, go higher up. But in all of this, try and do it more strategically. Do not roll without a plan. And if you need some help, then contact either of us. My company is again measuremarketing.net, Rise Media Design, and teachmesocial.com. 3 powerhouses here for you. So go now, crush it, and I'll see you again at the next episode. Thank you for joining us, Kelly and Leigh. Bye for now.
Thank you for listening to the Fuel Your Marketing podcast. For more episodes, visit www.fuelyourmarketing.ca.